Today I would like to show you how you can set up your batterymetric device for use. In order to use it, you need to load in all of the test parameters you want to use depending on the battery type you have and the test you want to perform. There's three ways to do that. There's the quick select method to set it up. There's a profile method to set up all the individual parameters, or you can load in a test program that you've created, which can allow you to run a custom routine that maybe you've programmed yourself or someone's given you. Today I'm going to talk about the quick select method. So let's have a quick look and see how you do that. We'll pull up the battery console software, and this is the main screen that you see when you start the battery console software. And let's just take a look and see what our system looks like in front of us today. If we go System Configuration, you will see we've got 6 channels online today. We have an MK201. This is an open board battery test module. It can charge and discharge up to 1 amp for batteries up to 20 volts. You'll also notice we have an MC2020 quad channel machine occupying positions 2, 3, 4, and 5. And each one of those channels can handle up to 2 amps charge and discharge for batteries up to 20 volts. And for higher current on channel 6 we also have an MC2050, and that can charge and discharge up to 5 amps. So we've already got some batteries connected to these channels, so let's just have a look and see how we can use quick setup to load the test parameters and begin a test session. On channel 1, I currently have a single cell lithium ion battery connected to the device. So to do a quick setup, you just select this quick setup tab, and there are actually only 3 inputs that you need to do to configure all of the test parameters. Once you input these 3 items, the software will select default parameters for you. So it's very easy to use in that regard. You don't have to figure out what test parameter to use in every case. So you just tell the channel which type of battery you're using. And so in this case we have a single cell lithium ion, so I'm going to select lithium ion as a battery type. Number of cells, it's 1 cell in series, so I'll select 1 there. And for rated capacity, we will do 720 milliamp hours. Okay, that information you can usually get off the battery itself. So now that we've selected those, you'll notice that the default parameters have been selected. It's rated at 3.6 volts. That's a single cell lithium ion. The charge voltage is 4.2. During charge, once the battery goes into constant voltage regulation, that will be the value that the voltage will be regulated to. There's the charge current and discharge current. In this case, you'll notice it's 144 milliamps. So that is actually C divided by 5. Voltage cutoff is 3 volts. That's just 1 volt for the single cell, or 3 volts for the single cell lithium ion. Excuse me. Number of cycles is a default of 2, so if you're going to do a cycle session, you would get 2 cycles in this case. And the minimum charge current termination, that's what will generate the charge termination. Once the charge voltage goes into constant voltage, the current will begin to taper off. Once it tapers off below this value specified, the charge will terminate and the battery will be considered fully charged. So we didn't have to figure those out ourselves. The quick setup method did it for us, so that's nice. So let's load those parameters into the device. I'll hit charge button and that will load in those parameters. Okay, the device is now loaded and ready to use. We can begin using it by connecting a new battery or pressing the start button since we already have a battery connected. And our test is proceeding. What we're doing here is charging. You will notice that the voltage and current are being plotted in real time as the data comes in. And in the real-time area, I'll just expand that a little bit so you can see some more data. You'll see the voltage. Since we're charging, you will notice that rising. The charge current is 143 milliamps. This time is accumulating. You can also see the milliamp hours accumulating, the watt hours accumulating, and the results is presented. That's the milliamp hours as a percent of the rated capacity that we entered. And that charge will continue until the battery is fully charged, and you will know exactly how much charge was input. When the charge terminates, this data that's being accumulated will transfer into the results data section, and it'll be there as a permanent record until you begin a new session. Okay, that's channel 1. Let's try another battery. Let's try channel 2. On channel 2, we currently have an 8-cell NiCad. Why don't we try a discharge on this one? So we'll set that up by selecting NiCads. It's 8 cells in series. The capacity of that is 1.2 amp hours. Okay. Again, the software has set up default parameters for us. These are parameters that would apply to a nickel-cadmium battery. We're going to be doing a discharge session in this example. So you'll see the cutoff voltage is set at 8 volts. That's 1 volt per cell. So we'll just load those in by hitting the discharge button. That will load the discharge function and all the parameters into the device. In this case, we're using the first channel of an MC2020 quad machine. The parameters are loaded in, and we can begin the discharge session by clicking Start. You can also begin it by just connecting the battery if you're using this without the software connected. And there we go, the battery is discharging. You can see the voltage is dropping. The current is negative 241 milliamps. That's what's coming out of the battery. And similar to the charge, you can also see the output in this case in milliamp hours and watt hours. It's a negative because we're discharging, so the energy is coming out of the battery. And this will proceed until the voltage drops down to the value specified by the quick setup, which was 8 volts in this case. So you will notice the voltage just continuing to drop during the session. The milliamp hours will continue to accumulate. When 8 volts is reached, the device will automatically shut the current off, and the accumulated milliamp hours and other results will be transferred into the results data section for you to view or print. Let's try another one. We'll try one more on channel 6. I connected a 3-cell NiCad. So let's go to channel 6, 3-cell NiCad, so you can see a lower voltage here on channel 6. We'll just set this up, NiCad, 3 cells. And it doesn't have to be a NiCad or a lithium ion. You can do a sealed lead acid, you can do a lithium polymer, you can even do a primary battery if you want to do a discharge test on a primary battery. You wouldn't charge it, of course, but you can do a discharge test. But the nice thing about the quick setup is you just put in a few simple parameters and all the other parameters are specified for you. You can just load that in. Let's do a charge session here. We'll load in that test session and we'll begin the start button. And a new charge is now proceeding on the NiCad. So that's all there is to it, really. We can just go back and have a quick look, see how channel 1's proceeding. Channel 1, we're up to 4 minutes. It's still charging. The milliamp hours is up to 11 milliamps. We're coming up to 2% of charge input. On channel 2, it's discharging still. We're coming up to 11 milliamp hours. We're coming up to 1%. So I think that gives you an idea of how the quick setup is easy to use, especially if you're not sure what test parameters to use. You just tell it a little bit about the battery and you're good to go. Of course, if you want to set the parameters yourself, you know what you want to do, you want to deviate from these values, you can do that. You would just use a profile in that case. And I will demonstrate how you set up a profile in another video. In this video, I just wanted to give you an idea of how the quick setup is a quick and easy way to get going. So I hope that was informative. If you want to learn more, please visit www.batterymetric.com. And thank you for watching. Bye.